or not the damage you get, but the damage you might be.
You messed up the opening.
No, I didn't. It's
What are you
supposed to
doing,
sound
man?
awkward
Uh-huh.
because
Well, we're
it's an
awkward
awkward
people, so-
topic. No, it's an
Oh.
awkward. I'm not awkward. You might be awkward.
Oh, there you go. That's the symbolism, man.
Maybe
Totally.
personification.
Is it, though?
Yes,
Sure. Casting on the move.
yes, and evaluating its output.
Well, I think we were talking about it before we started all this, and I think we both
Yes.
agreed that casting on the move is kind of overrated.
To a point, yes. It depends on how much time you have to move.
Sure.
Which
Again,
is honestly
it's like,
very short in most cases.
again, it's completely fight dependent, like 100% fight dependent. If you get a Darumu and you have to move for 45 seconds, being a hunter there is really good.
Yes.
But
Though if you press Stellar Drift, then you can stack on top of the boss.
oh yeah. But as far as like casting and moving at the same time, or just being a caster and having to stand still for your abilities or for a decent amount of them, if it goes back to that game knowledge thing, man. If you know a fight like the back of your hand, you know when movement's coming out, you know how far you're gonna have to move. You look at like Manaroth, and you get I really don't know what the AoE is called. He does it 3 times. You probably don't know.
Big Fiery Doom.
Yeah, it grows in size. Oh my god, this is gonna piss me off.
Felidifile.
It's Fell something. It's oh my god.
It's
Hopefully
probably
someone in
like
chat gets
Felflame
it.
or something.
Hopefully someone in chat gets it, because otherwise
So
I'm just gonna
just
be a
continue.
stammering idiot. Alright, yeah, so pretty much it starts off as a small AoE, and then it goes to a medium-sized AoE, and then a large AoE. And we're talking like, it's 10 yards, it's 20 yards, it's 30 yards, right? And if you know exactly how far you have to move in between each cast, it helps so much. In like LFR or in Pugs or even in main raid, I see people that move 5 or 10 yards further than they have to. And that's a partial global, and over the course of the fight, it's a lot. It's Fellseeker. That's the ability, is named Fellseeker. We got it. It's
I'm so glad you got that in stride.
Yeah. It's so many globals over the course of a fight. As you master a fight, if you've pulled a fight 400 times or 600 times, or once
Nobody
you hit,
wipes 600 times.
well, we did on Archimond.
So
You
that's
hit a
500.
point. Well, whatever. I mean, I have like 600 wipes on Gorefiend across all my guilds, man. I'm so
Yes.
good at that fight now. I mean, you just get to a point on the fight where you know everything so perfectly that you can cut your movement down, and you can start moving at the exact time, and you can stop moving at the exact distance or time. It's, I mean, casting and moving honestly doesn't, like, it's not that good, and it loses value as you become better at the fight. Because you just don't need to do it. You're expecting to move, you plan accordingly, you plan around having instacasts at that time, and you don't move as far and waste as many globals. It's
So you
just,
brought up the point of instant casting.
yeah.
How many globals do you think we'll have available for instant cast spells, given you do not plan ahead?
Alright,
We just have Moonfire, you think?
you said given you don't plan ahead?
Yes.
Because right now, with like no talents, you can have instacasts for 5+ globals in a row. Moonfire, Sunfire, 2 Star Surges, and an instacast Starfire.
That's a lucky instant cast Starfire. Well, you'll probably get it.
I mean, even still, 4
probability.
globals will get you a lot of places. Like,
That'll get
4
you across the
globals.
room in most cases.
Yeah, 4 globals is a ridiculous. When I move out for Fellseeker, I only need 2 globals, and I need Fellseeker running away from the boss. I only need 2 globals, and then yeah. I mean, mean, with what I just said there, assuming there's only one target, and that's another thing too, is like on Tyrant, you know when movement's gonna happen, and I specifically set up my Moonfire rotation, so I always have two mobs to dot every time a Tempest comes out. That is I always have one target to Moonfire, and I have both targets to Sunfire. And I always make sure that I have global set up, so with Tempest, I will Starfire, Moonfire move, Wrath, Sunfire move. And I do that every time. And it always lines up perfectly. And you get into this rotation where you set up for your movements. And I think you said earlier, with no knowledge of movement to come, but
You can probably get at least
at least two.
3 global cooldowns in.
Yeah.
And you'll be, oh, that's all that was? Okay.
Yeah. I think
You don't even need that much in most cases.
we have more movement DPS and more instacast now than we've ever had. Assuming you don't get like ridiculously lucky Star Surge strings back in MOP. And by ridiculously lucky, I mean you could probably just machine gun Star Surge for the majority of Dark Animus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times, man.
And it'll pull out the Fire Mage with the Starfall.
Yeah. Yeah, we are gonna have a lot of instacasts in Legion, and movement DPS kinda won't matter because we're just gonna have it.
Now, another question to bring up with moving and casting. Let's say the Stellar Drift, because that would be the entire point of this
Sure.
idea.
Well, I mean,
Stellar Drift is good if you can actually utilize it. If you can't utilize Stellar Drift on the damage end, what's the point of taking Stellar Drift?
are you?
Casting while moving is probably not going to be worth it. So you can plan
So-
ahead, right?
I'm trying to figure this question out. You're saying like, let's assume Stellar Drift isn't that amazing in terms of damage
Correct. Let's just purely on the moving
on the
while
utility
casting.
side.
Think of Darumu, but you're not hugging the boss. So
So
you're forced to move, and you'll have a couple breaks here and there, but you won't be able to make use of the casting while moving because you'd have to move out of your AoE circle. Given
yeah, I don't think Stellar Drift in terms of movement capabilities is going to be that good. I think that's completely fight dependent. There may very well be a fight where you're not really going to leave the AoE, but you need to keep moving for a good chunk of time. Again, Starfall's only 8 seconds, so having 8 seconds of being able to cast while moving really isn't that good, except for that in that 8 seconds you can generate enough astral power to drop another Starfall.
though it does scale with haste.
Yeah.
And if you have Bloodlust up, you only get like, well, you probably have a 4.5
Yeah.
second Starfall.
That's
And
true.
while you'll be generating more astral power through shooting stars, I can tell you right now, you
It
do
kinda
not
is
get
a
enough
nerf.
astral power.
Yeah. They kind of
And
it like gear
it
is
will
kind
get-
of an inherent nerf, but I don't think you're going to be taking Stellar Drift because you can move and cast. I think that's just gravy.
I think it's good for two things. Only that it sucks for raids, and that's not good. But it's good because it's not good for raiding, but it's good for
Mhm.
other things. I actually like that idea.
Well, I
Not
don't.
everything needs to be good for raiding. It
That's
has to
true.
be decent, but
Well,
that's where
I
the
don't know.
damage
Alright,
portion
so
comes in.
I would kind of disagree with that because they're implementing a PvP talent tree, and I know that you really like the idea of Stellar
No,
Flare.
You're thinking
You like
PvP.
the idea.
You're
No. Listen.
I'll give
You
you a
think-
chance.
You like the idea of Stellar Drift as like a leveling talent.
And dungeon, yes.
Yeah.
On raiding
Yeah.
content, basically.
I do. All right. So dungeons is a really good point that I actually haven't been thinking about that much, and I do kind of like the idea of having abilities that are good in dungeons. I think that's good, especially since Blizzard plans on putting so much more emphasis on 5-mans. I don't care about leveling, and I don't really care that much about world content. Yeah, it's going to be really nice to be able to move and cast while doing
Don't worry, you'll
like
be grinding
Praxis dailies.
bounties.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be grinding for legendaries, but grinding for legendaries and grinding greater rifts, the 5-mans, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. So Yeah, having Stellar Drift might be really good in 5-mans. Actually, I could see it as being really good in 5-mans. You know, you pull like 10, 15 mobs or 5 mobs even, and you just keep Starfall down with Shooting Stars procs. And yeah, I mean, I can see it being really, really good there. Um, but a lot of my focus is going to be on like rating and whatnot. Yeah, Stellar Drift, not Stellar
Yes.
Flare. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, yes, I agree with you. It will be better for dungeons, obviously, simply because one, the positioning, you're probably not
Yeah.
going to be getting 45 birds back all the time.
Sure.
So where you have to be a little bit closer than normal, yeah, you could overlap yourself with with Sunfall, or sorry, with Starfall, yourself and the group of enemies.
Sure.
Now you're still limited based on your zone, but for what it's worth, if you could actually make use of that, because you're going to be having to avoid a lot of damage in these Greater Rift dungeons,
Sure.
you'll be able to stand closer and you'll be able to make room with. Not, you'll be able to avoid damage more easily and lose less because you will be.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a lot of gameplay. I mean, I said it earlier, I think Stellar Drift is a great talent. I'm glad it exists. I don't think it's going to be that amazing for rating. It'll probably have 1 or 2 fights where it shines. I could imagine Tectis in the last phase of Tectis. It would be really amazing because there's so much movement happening there and there's a lot of AoE damage to be had. But I'm sure there will be a fight where Stellar Drift is good. Um, but that's not why I'm excited about the talent. I'm excited just that it exists. Just that if I wanted to, in questing or in 5-mans, I could take that talent. But to the original point, I don't think that casting and moving is that great.
I think
I mean,
it's exceptionally overrated, given it is limited.
sure.
If you have Kil'jaeden's Cunning, where it's up 100% of the time, and
Yeah.
off, yeah, it's
Or if you're a
phenomenal.
hunter or whatever. You know,
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
exactly. Being able to, like, I think Stone Dogs or Stone Guards was a great example of that. Hunters being able to move 100% of the time while constantly doing the damage bonus mechanic for that, painting the tiles. That's really, really, really strong. And it just, it's not bad gameplay, it just makes other classes less compelling. But us having short bursts of being able to, I mean, maybe it's not even just short bursts. I mean, you could probably keep Starfall up 100% of a fight, you know, if you wanted to. So, I mean, at current gear levels.
You'd have to
So
plan around it, but definitely, it's certainly possible if you.
I mean, you could
get
have it
a good full
100%.
moon.
You could have it 100% up whenever you wanted to move.
Given full moon stays, you could also get
Yeah.
that plus your shooting stars benefit.
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah, I
easily
mean, so
get 4 back to back.
Stellar Drift is a really cool talent. It'll have its implications outside of rating for sure, and it'll probably have 1 or 2 fights where it shines in rating, and I'm excited about it. But I think I would agree with you. Moving and DPSing in short bursts is overrated.
So,
People just need to get better at the game.
on a final note before I turn off this stream, would you say that moving and experience go together as well as being comfortable with talent builds and playing preferred talent? Whereas if you play the preferred build, the one you're
Hold
comfortable
on.
with, you will do better than the one that says, "Oh, this is your best build. You should be playing this no matter what."
All right, repeat that last thing
Okay,
again.
I'll try.
Okay.
So,
Feel free to make it more concise too.
yes, I'll try.
Okay.
So when you have a preferred build
Sure.
and you have a min-max build, so the best build
Okay.
available, these are 2 different builds that you play.
Sure.
You do not play
One
the
that you
min-max
like
one.
versus one that is supposedly best.
Yes, and you do not play the quote-unquote best one.
Sure.
Now, you would probably do better if you stayed with the one you're comfortable with, given
But,
you just went straight into the best one without knowing how to play it. You'd be better for a while, would you say?
what? Build
Should I
that.
repeat it again? Okay.
Oh no, I mean, hold on. I mean, I kept. So you're asking, would a preferred build be better, a more enjoyable playstyle be better than a supposed best playstyle at first glance on a fight?
Yes.
That's the question.
Because you are more comfortable.
Your run-on sentences, man, we gotta work on that.
I need real life commas. So
You need real-life semicolons, man.
I need more than a semicolon at this point. I need like
You need periods.
enter
Just
button.
get this in there. Overhaul that.
Okay, let's see if I can phrase this properly.
Alright,
If you are comfortable with your build,
sure.
you will do better than just switching over to the best build.
Sure, I would
Because
totally
you
agree
are
with
more
that.
comfortable with it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But
In the same sense, because you are more comfortable with the fight, you will do better.
Sure. Yeah.
In which case, experience is a DPS increase.
Experience is totally a DPS increase, hands down. And that's why, but on the same note, being fluent in all iterations of the spec is a DPS increase. You, should be... You should be
You should be able to play multiple builds.
All talents and all builds. And you
With
should
that
also...
said, you should also have fun. Enjoy your time.
Exactly.
Unless you're a top 25 raider, in which case you better fucking know your class.
You could even like go further and say, feel free. Chances are, like, if you're not in the super top 1% of raiders, you can just play whatever you find most enjoyable at all times. But if you wanted to, since like chances are, for 99.9% of players, like literally everyone except like top 5 guilds, will have videos or guides when they go pull a boss, right? Nearly every guild will have a video that shows the boss fight. If you wanted to, you could just go learn that boss fight second by second and be completely perfect at that fight before having ever pulled it. And so
it sounds like the Gorefiend Flash game.
What's that?
The Gorefiend Flash game back in Black Temple.
Oh yeah.
Is if you can't play it, you weren't invited to the raid. That's all it
is. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can totally have a preferred playstyle, and for the majority of guilds, it doesn't matter what your playstyle is, because if you're wiping to a boss at 1%, and someone says, well, if this guy was playing the right spec, then we would have killed the boss. Well, if our raid was 1% better, we would have killed the boss. It doesn't have to be my spec, it's like literally anything at that point, you know?
And to that point, I would also say, there's probably more than one reason why the boss didn't die at 1%.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, is like the guild as a whole could just get better by 1%.
Yes.
You know? Obviously,
there is no one person whose fault it is, unless, they get pushed off by Helen.
Well, I mean, that's another thing.
And they roll backwards.
Crew just said in chat is strat. Like, there's so many people that are doing suboptimal Zoroark strats. It's like, I mean, you could be doing so much as a guild to improve this. You know, like even Midwinter strat for like for Hellfire High Council. Our strat for Hellfire High Council was so awful. It was really bad. It was really good for a first kill, but that's only because they didn't know about any of the dead zones. Guilds later on found out that there were dead zones. If Midwinter knew that, they would have killed the boss in a few attempts less, you know? Like, it's the same way with your guild. If everyone just improved by a fraction of a %, then you could kill the boss way faster. It doesn't matter if you were playing the right spec or not. There are so many things that factor into that damage, you know? It's everyone.
One point I always try to stress to anybody who asks for help, specifically for people saying my DPS is low, mechanics are far more important than DPS.
Yeah.
Your DPS goes up when your mechanics get more
fluent,
I would guess.
Well, what my big thing is this week is learning curve. Learning curve for me is huge. If you can learn a fight in 10 pulls, and it takes this guy 20 pulls to learn a fight, then you're doing top DPS after 10 pulls, and he's doing top DPS after 20 pulls, or 99%.
In which case you have 480 pulls to
go. Well, yeah, but I'm saying like, I get the defense of the boss, but there's so many things that factor into progression. It's just, it would be absurd for a guy to say this guy's not playing the right talent. That's why we're wiping. Yeah, I mean,
if anybody does say that, I would say the person who puts that blame up is, well, hopefully the guy's not playing like Frost Mage back in Cataclysm when they were awful. That's one thing. But at this day and age, 1% is literally the next pull you guys should kill it. Unless you're, literally pushing the very limits, but almost nobody does that. If you're not pushing the very limits, then you are always at room for improvement, but the best build is not always the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Game knowledge is huge. Just more game knowledge, man. Just learn everything you can about other specs and fights in your own spec. And then just get better as a raider. Don't get better at your spec. Get better as a raider. Cast, move less, move at the right times more, move,
Know which talents
plan
excel
ahead.
in particular situations that you guys are struggling on. It's
Plan
all about
ahead.
beating the mechanics, yes?
Plan ahead in terms of movement and just understand the mechanics are happening. I don't know, man. Just focus on learning other things. It's not just your spec that you have to focus on.
Well, if you know your spec, hopefully you can expand that knowledge to other specs to
Yeah.
learn that spec. That's why you learn one spec first.
Yeah.
Though, if you know what you're doing when you go into your very first pull, odds are you're still going to have a really shitty pull. But if you just take the time and you get more comfortable in the fight, you will be doing better, no matter how bad you were to begin with. So, on that note, I would like to say casting on the move is almost
Hold on.
pointless in every situation.
Alright, we have reset your volume.
Okay. I would like to say that casting on the move is almost irrelevant at this day and age, because if you can cover with instant cast spells and things like that, because you know when they're coming, when you know when the movement is coming, and you can time your abilities, you will be playing at such a high level you might as well apply for a top 10 guild.
Yep.
Because you will kill shit with that guild if you play like that. Though, play for fun. If you want to play with the best, you need to know exactly what's going on.
Well, if you want to play with the best because that's what you find fun.
Because you want the best loot, of course. Or gear. Or
well, no. I derive fun from trying to be the best or learning how to be the best.
That's the competitive edge.
Yeah. It's like if you are playing in a casual weekend guild and your progression, you guys aren't progressing at a super fast rate, and you just enjoy having fun with people playing the game how you want to do that. If you are upset that other people aren't picking the talents they should be, then maybe your guild isn't right for you and you should go to a more competitive guild.
I will agree with that. And because I don't want to keep this running on, thank you so much,
my God,
Alagana. We've done this for 25 minutes on this episode, I think.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is like over 2 hours long. Yeah, it's about 2 hours long.
Yeah, okay, so a typical final boss.
I want to let you know that no one is going to watch all of this on YouTube.
Oh, I bet you will have people jump through, at least on the last 2 videos.
We'll see.
You know what? Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I wager no video gets more than 500 views.
My last one got 5,000.
Damn.
You better keep your head up.
It's new content, man. People are excited about new content.
Yes, and we are talking about the best spec. So,
wow. I was actually just looking at logs, and there are a lot of people that play Balanced Druids. There are like 5,500 people that have killed Manaroth or Balanced Druids, and I'm like, damn, that's a lot of Balanced Druids.
Yeah, it's also a lot of alts too.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like,
though we have a really good spec right now at Legion, so if people enjoy the playstyle, they'll enjoy the damage output as well.
Yeah, Balanced Druids are well represented in the raiding community right now in terms of numbers.
And that's due to all of our feedback.
If you're like an enhancement shaman or rep paladin, you're kind of shit out of luck in terms of meeting others.
What about Shadow Priest?
There's like a decent. Shadow Priests are like coming into. They're good now.
They just needed the gear. They just weren't good for progression.
I don't know, man. I think a lot of people just are bad at Shadow Priests because, like, the top Shadow Priests seem to be doing really well. Like, they're competitive, like, against hunters and mages and stuff.
Alright.
I think it's just the player for that. Shadow is like not intuitive, so balance isn't super intuitive next expansion. So we'll see how that works.
So let's wrap this up for good. Is
Sure.
there one thing you want to say about either design philosophy, min-maxing with preference, or versus preference, or casting on the move? I have
Um,
to mention.
I think. Can I Do I have to follow those guidelines?
Well, it's one of the topics. You can talk about whatever you want. I'm not strict.
I can soapbox.
Yes. But I
Uh,
think you want to end the call too.
sure. I think. Quickly touch on everything. I think a lot of our talents are really well designed, and some of our talents are really poorly designed. I would like to see some changes to that, but obviously I don't really have any say in that, so it's just praying. I think casting on the move is overrated. If you just improve as a player and you improve upon your game knowledge, casting on the move, its value becomes a lot more diminished. And then, what were the other pointers or
It
whatever?
was just min-max build versus your
Oh,
preferred build. That's the last one.
sure, min max. Honestly, man, like for Heroic Week, I'm probably just gonna play Collapsing Stars and everything because it's more fun.
On that note, Collapsing Stars probably. I've been trying to get them to add a Hammer of Dawn type of thing. Here's
Oh,
one
yeah.
really big orbital beam just going and just destroying everything. Awesome.
Yeah,
Basically, a
pretty
blue
happy.
solar beam.
I'm pretty happy with all of the melee animations, but our current Lunar Strike animation is complete dog tier, man. Oh, they need to fix our cast animations for a lot of things. But the spell effects.
You're talking about the actual animation, not the spell mob.
Yeah, the cast animation for Lunar Strike looks awful because it's old Hurricane cast animation. I hate it.
You
It
don't
it
like wave your
looks
arm
terrible.
in the air, like you just don't care, or have
It
enough
doesn't.
pixels to generate a.
It doesn't feel powerful at all, and it bothers me. Then again, new Starfire doesn't do any damage, so
If the damage goes up, I think everything will be fine.
we'll see.
Though, thank you again. I appreciate you taking 2 hours and 15 minutes out of your night. I don't know what you're doing. You're probably gonna sit on the couch.
Yeah, I don't have a
Watch
life
a movie.
anyway, so I'm gonna go back to watching Jessica Jones.
I don't know what the legendaries are, but I don't think we're
What?
talking about legendaries yet.
Oh, you're talking to. Okay, cool. Yeah, they haven't implemented even half of the legendaries yet, so that might be another thing. We might have this really sick helm that gives us 4,000 free star surges whenever we cast
Malfurion's
Starfall.
Antlers imbues
Yeah.
the user with Malfurion's ferocity, increasing strength by like 800%. While in bear form, you do 800% more damage because you have.
We could have some really overpowered thing. I mean, Demonology Warlocks right now have a helmet that increases the damage that all of their demons do.
So
Of
I think
course
the
that's gonna
data
be
mined
good.
one for us is Star Surge does 35% more damage if a target has yeah. If Star Surge has Star Surge deals 35% more damage if Sunfire and Moonfire are on the target. I think
See, that's just another nerf to Collapsing Stars, man. I don't want to hear this. I'm just gonna get more riled up.
Don't worry, we'll find a way to get it changed. Quick, everybody spam Celestial on month, please. Nope.
My god.
Nope. Don't do that.
I wonder
That's
if I
not a
still
good
have
idea.
that icon. Hold on. I think I lost it. Oh no,
Slash blame Celestial.
I have it.
Blame.
There we go.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Alright.
Balagana. Baloney.
Well, thank you, sir.
Good luck during your beta testing for rating, because I'm going to be there probably right with you guys occasionally if we do a split rate.
I'm sure many discussions and forum posts will happen in the future between me and the community and me and you and the community in itself and whatnot. And I'll be there to witness it all.
Yes. Yes, it will. I am going to link my spreadsheet right
Wow. Look at this guy. Plugging his own stuff.
So that's the spreadsheet I'm using right now. It's not exactly updated. I haven't updated this one.
For people that don't have better Twitch TV,
if
probably
you
gonna have
have
to
that,
find
you
it in
have
like
it
YouTube.
now.
Probably gonna have
I'll
to
put
find
it
that
on the
link in like
YouTube
the
video.
YouTube description. Yeah.
I always do that.
Uh-huh.
Though that will actually change. It will complete itself after a little bit.
Hopefully, we'll actually end up uploading more to this YouTube channel.
Yes, we have 2 videos, and we'll have
I-
5 at the end of this when I get the box up.
I believe in us to make actual content and guides and tips and stuff.
I will be doing that because I am doing a lot more work like that now because, well, I work a full-time job, but I want to do that too. So, dedicated. But because there's not really that much. There's nothing to do with Warlords, and there's nothing to do right now in Legion. They're about to go on break.
I'm resetting your volume.
No. I'm gonna cut
Yeah.
like the last 6
Wait.
minutes.
We should end this. This is the longest outro ever.
No, we've had one longer
Alright, man.
on Final
Like,
Boss. I think it's
probably.
23. Lonnie, thank you again. You guys have a good night.
And you as well. I'm sure we'll be back.